Let's take a look at an old saying that suggests truth can be more confusing than fiction. When I think about it, this idea is both silly and yet quite logical. Based on my personal experience, I remember a really shocking event. I was killed by someone I thought of as my own sister. This may sound completely crazy, but I promise you, I came back to life. Before you get confused, let me explain what happened. My name was Tomoki, and one night, a coworker named Kiritsubo asked me to go out for drinks. Things went as you might expect, but later, this girl got really drunk. So, I decided to take her home so she could rest. However, I still wanted a drink, so I went to a nearby store to buy some alcohol. On my way back, I ran into a girl I knew. Her name is Krimen. Although she might seem like a stalker, I think of her as my sister. The main point is that I called out to her, but she didn't say anything, which made me feel really uneasy. Still, I walked up to her, only to get stabbed in the stomach. Honestly, it didn't hurt. I didn't even imagine that it was going to kill me. It seemed like a small wound, easy to heal. However, I realized that the crime involved an electrified knife known as nanakati, and from one second to another, I fell to the ground because of the electricity. I couldn't even defend myself as the assailant kept stabbing me, and seeing her with her face soaked in blood, she was completely unrecognizable. I guess at that moment I died. Well, I revived. I thought it had just been a nightmare in bad taste, or maybe the alcohol had gone to my head. But no, I actually died. They definitely murdered me. This thought lingers. Why do I keep thinking about it? I don't understand it. When I attempted to open my eyelids, they felt exceedingly heavy. The first thing I saw was a very ugly man with green skin. Day 1, after he performed some strange actions upon me, that man informed me that I had been reborn. Day 2, amidst the confusion, I tried to move my body, but it did not respond. The only thing I could do was look around. It seems I am in a cave, and to top it off, I am surrounded by several ugly and green babies. To be honest, they look a lot like goblins. When I finally managed to move a hand, I noticed it resembled theirs. It seems that I have been reborn as a goblin, which, sadly, even made me feel like crying. Now I get why I can barely move. It makes sense. I am a goblin baby newborn. However, I did what any goblin baby would do: sleep. On the third day, I found out that goblins actually grow super fast overnight. I see myself as the size of a child getting ready for school. However, this body feels way weaker than my old one. I tried to act like the others, like all good savages. I also saw that the growth rate for these kids is normal. I guess it's because they are creatures of nature and need to grow quickly to survive, of course, unlike humans. But hey, since I got a second chance, I'll make sure to live it fully. To start, I need to train this weak body. So, I spent the whole day pushing myself to the limit until I actually collapsed from exhaustion. Now, it's not so tough to move. Day 4. The next day, I was sent out to find my own food, even though I was only 4 days old. Remarkably, I had already started hunting. I was with another goblin named Kitchen, and we talked about many things while looking for food. In the end, we became friends. I forgot to say that, because goblins have a really low birth rate. They sometimes kidnap and attack human women. After a while, we found an empty cave that had several women who all seemed to have given up on life. However, it was clear that a little bit of hope was still in them. My vision was cloudy both in a figurative way and a literal way, so I kept to myself and offered silent prayers for them. We continued our search and eventually came across a strange rabbit with a single horn. I told Kitchen my plan and we went after it. Ultimately, we succeeded in catching it. This hunting experience was really fun. However, Kitchen had a hard time understanding teamwork, so I had to gently remind him about the importance of sharing. After this, I took the horn from the rabbit, a sign of my successful first hunt. But let's put that aside for now and explore another subject. A strange voice echoed in my mind, calling me Goblin Roo. I guess that is my new name now. I also figured out that the person who gave me this name was that unattractive old man. Anyway, I really don't like this name, so I will stick with my original one. Also, I decided to use the rabbit's horn as a weapon, although I might find something better later. His skin could be useful. However, just as Kichai woke up, my conscience started to bother me. To make him leave me alone, I thought about sharing some of the loot with him, and he thanked me more than I expected. I didn't know Kichai could be so grateful. In the end, we had a meal of rabbit together. So, I ate some meat, got a new gun and made a new friend. Thus, this day wasn't totally bad. It is now the 5th day and today, I am once again looking for food. During my search, I come across a rabbit with a horn. I use my horn-made weapon and, unfortunately, end the life of that creature. When I grab its horn, I find out that it is a bit larger than the one I found yesterday. Once again, that strange voice calls out my name. In any case, the rewards of today are much greater than those of yesterday. Since I am with Kichai, I decide to share my food with him. While we enjoy our meal, that voice speaks to me again. This time, it tells me that I have gained a new skill called escaping. There is no doubt about this, but let me explain. Before I died, I was a spur, which means I had some special powers. It seems that this ability has come back to life in me. Statistically, only 1 in 10,000 people is born as a spur with a specific skill, and I, in particular, was lucky enough to have the ability of absorption. In simpler terms, anything I eat can be consumed. It doesn't matter how hard or toxic it is, because they become harmless in my body. Furthermore, the act of absorbing substances gives me new abilities and greater power. However, there are specific rules that control this process. For instance, if I want to consume creatures, I must do it within 12 hours of their death to absorb their abilities effectively. If I keep consuming the same entity, I can enhance the ability I've absorbed, and, as a result, gain even more power. You might think that this absorption ability is unimportant, but the truth is that the more I consume, the stronger I become. In my past life, I ingested different items, including some evil Esper, which gave me countless powers. Unfortunately, I have moved on to another life, losing all those abilities. However, I guess it's quite lucky that I still have the absorption ability. Well, whatever the situation may be, I've come to terms with it. Now you know, and I have decided to continue our hunt with Kichai by my side. I hope to get my abilities back soon. As I continued the hunt, I realized that this ability to escape capture allows me to run at a faster pace. After chasing and eating different creatures, we finally felt full and the kitchen started to look at me with respect. I guess he now understands that I am meant to be the leader of our group. On day 6, we met a goblin named Gabumi, who showed admiration for our success in hunting horned rabbits. I think that for someone her age, hunting these animals is still pretty tough. I asked her about her current meal, and she said she was eating nuts from a tree. This food has helped her survive while others have starved, because they are still too young to hunt. When they tried to do so, they were often hurt by the horns of these rabbits. However, although it may seem minor, such accidents can happen. Typically, a newborn goblin is both careless and small, as well as weak, which leads them to go hunting without any tools. Now that I think about it, the others are starting to use weapons, copying our actions, which I suppose isn't necessarily a bad thing. Meanwhile, Gabumi does nothing but praise and admire me because I am super strong and smart, as well as remarkable. However, I don't have the ability to craft several functional weapons, while the rain kept pouring outside. Although it was disheartening not to hunt, we found satisfaction in our new skills. This was especially important because our earlier attempts at hunting had not gone well. Kichai, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly shouted that he wanted to make a spear. However, I reminded him that we needed to focus on the task at hand, making knives first. The excitement in the air was strong, but distractions were everywhere. As we worked, more goblins from our community gathered around, their curious eyes watching our progress. I felt a mix of pride and annoyance. I wanted to concentrate on our project, but the attention was hard to ignore. Eventually, we finished a few knives, and I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. It was not just about making weapons, it was about proving to myself that we could create something valuable. Later, when the rain finally stopped, it was a relief. We decided to practice our hunting skills with the knives we had made. I couldn't help but think about the challenges we faced, however, because of our limited experience. Although we were nervous, we were determined to improve. This was what mattered most. In the quest to make 3 knives, Tabumi Kichai and I found ourselves thinking about a new hunting strategy by afternoon. However, our thoughts were suddenly interrupted by an ugly old man. To my surprise, I discovered that he was actually 20 years old, which made me wonder how he could already be the oldest among us. Consequently, I decided to stop our planning to listen to Grandpa, who, as we all know, has a lot of knowledge. After talking with him for a while, I was fascinated by different insights about this world. Yet, what caught my attention the most was the absence of our parents. It seemed like everyone had gone out to hunt and steal, leaving only the strongest behind. This realization hit me as both inspiring and confusing, because 20 years feels like a short time. Perhaps I might live longer than that after all. Once the old man finished his stories, he went back to the treasure room. Nevertheless, I kept thinking about whether goblins reproduce because they are good at it, or because their lives are so short. Well, regardless of my lingering uncertainty, I suppose I will have to uncover that mystery by myself. It was yet another day, and we resolved to put our new hunting plan to the test. I won't deny that I felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation. However, I was ready to face whatever came next. Because of this, I knew I had to stay focused. Although I was nervous, I couldn't let that stop me. We encountered several threats. However, we managed to overcome them. Ultimately, I realized that the plan was very effective. Gabumi supported us with her stick and a sling that I made myself. Kichai stood directly in front of me at the center of our formation, which turned out to be remarkably effective. By the end of the hunt, we had gained a significant amount of food and new prey. However, Gabumi and Kichai were still not satisfied, so they hunted 2 more rabbits. As we began to assess our loot, our first catch was a raccoon in armor. Although I tried to pierce it with my horn, I could not succeed. This led me to think that the armor might be useful, and because I consumed that hard shell, I learned a new ability called Shell. It seems promising. We then examined the other prey. It was identified as a 7-color bat. I suppose its wings could be made into a weapon for Gabumi, but I found that I could not absorb any abilities from this bat. Nonetheless, I grew stronger, so I believe that if I consume another, I may acquire some skills. Thus, we moved on to the next creature. I named it a night viper, even though it has extremely tough. Even though I managed to cut off its head, we shared the body, and when I started to eat it, my hands became totally paralyzed. This scared me a lot. However, I found out that I had gained 5 new skills in just one encounter. Although I think I was lucky to hunt this snake, it was definitely tougher than I expected. Because I often get better abilities and strength when I eat something stronger than me, I still kept the head of the viper. This made me decide to hold on to it so I could get its venom and soak some of my weapons. Now, I just had to find an opponent to test my new and toxic weapon. However, I decided to avoid getting tired and eat the head instead. Among the abilities I got from the viper were poison absorption and poison tolerance, so I guess that eating it won't hurt me. Day 9. It's a new day, and I started to build armor with the materials we found. Additionally, I made a needle and created some silk to help sew the pieces together. However, just then, Kichai said he was hungry, and because it was raining, I told him I wasn't thinking about going out to hunt. I suggested that he eat insects instead. This might just be a temporary fix for a day. I also gave him some items I made, including a shield that should be quite useful, since he's the one leading our group. With the bright wings of the 7-colored bat, I chose to make a garment for Gabumi. I asked if it was too flashy, but she really loved it, so I guess it's okay. Moreover, I made a necklace from the fangs of these bats. As usual, she jumped towards me and hugged me, thanking me over and over. Although we once wore ugly rags, now we have something much more beautiful. Something better than that day 10 has happened today. We went out hunting again and managed to kill a few creatures that were the same type as the ones we had seen before. However, we sadly did not catch any 7-colored bats. Instead, we found other monsters that looked like they were stronger than us. So, we decided to ignore them. Yes, you heard right. In this world, there is a system of levels that shows how strong a creature is. Although I don't completely understand how this system works, I paid close attention when a number 86 appeared, which means that this is my level. I told Kichai about this, and he said that the number 78 showed up for him, while Gabumi's was 55. Because of this, I am the strongest in our group. What I don't know is how to raise that level. I guess it involves defeating more creatures. That said, a level 100 goblin is still seen as weaker. According to Grandpa, when you hit level 100, you can become a higher species, with the order of ascension being goblin, hobgoblin, and ogre. Yet, as Grandfather explained, there are lots of different kinds of evolution to think about. He also told me that I needed to pick my choices carefully. I find myself thinking about what the best choice will be on day 11. As usual, we went out to hunt, and during our adventure, we found a cave. Curious, we chose to explore. However, we were not ready for the fact that we were intruding on a nest of 7 colored bats. In a quick exchange, I told Gabai to go ahead while I stayed back with Kichai to give her some time, because there were so many bats. I even worried that I might meet my end again, but thanks to the skills I had learned from eating that snake at night, we managed to get away without harm. Also, the armor gave us good protection. In the end, we were able to take down 30 bats of 7 colors. After the fight, I ate 10 of these creatures, which helped me learn some skills. Among them, I got echolocation, which really helps me scan the area and find animals for ambush. I plan to use this skill well. On day 12, as darkness covered the land, we went back home, following our routine. The goblins have the night vision ability, which lets us hunt at night without problems. This, however, doesn't mean that there aren't scary nocturnal beasts around. Although we can see well, we still need to be careful. Because of this, we should always stay alert. Creatures that come out at night can really be a big threat to our safety. However, I was too tired to worry about those dangers, because I just wanted to sleep. Tomorrow was going to be packed with tasks, but something unexpected happened around midnight. Thanks to my ability to sense intruders, I was able to react quickly. It turned out that several goblins, about my age, decided to attack me while I was asleep. There were 6 of them, waving sticks in their hands, obviously wanting to finish me off. However, I used my poison horn to take out one of the attackers. As for the others, I gave them a strong dose of tranquilizing poison, which felt good because I got to give them a deserved beating. Unfortunately, all the noise brought in more goblins, making me skip the poison. To be honest, I thought I would be punished for killing a goblin, but it seems that such things are seen as normal savage behavior among adults, since they just stayed quiet. The real problem started when Gabomi found out they wanted to hurt me. She was really angry. She attacked one of the goblins and almost killed him. However, I had to step in. This was a tough situation because it put me in danger too. Although I wanted to help, I was also worried about what might happen next. In an attempt to calm her down, I eventually put her to sleep. The N signifies the body I dragged outside, making sure no one was watching me. After this, I ate it. On day 13, finally at dawn, we decided to explore the deepest part of the forest until we reached the foot of a mountain. There, we found new prey. It was a creature that looked a lot like goblins, although it was taller and had a head that looked like a pickaxe. After chasing him for a while, we thought we could defeat him. However, we needed to make sure he was alone. I used the skills I learned when I ate those bats, making sure he was by himself. To achieve this, I soaked a stone in my poison and told Gabumi to thrust it straight into his eyes. Once this beast was blinded and weakened, Kichai attacked and everything went perfectly because the monster was badly hurt. However, we could not let our guard down, so we made sure the creature couldn't call for help. For this reason, Kichai smashed its head and I stabbed it multiple times. Thus, we successfully hunted our first orc. The reality is that it has a really nice flavor. It looks a lot like the taste of pork. I, of course, picked up many skills during this experience, including the ability to speak the orc language. This realization made me think that just like there is a skill to talk with orcs, there must also be a similar skill to connect with humans. After eating orc, we went back to our hunting and eventually made our way home. Because our hunting success was much better than usual, I decided to share some food with the other goblins. Yes, those same goblins who had attacked me the day before. The most likely reason for their aggression was their need for food, as they had not been able to eat for several days and were starving. They tried to overpower me to force me into hunting for them. However, the truth is that we belong to the same race, which made me want to help them by giving them food. What I didn't expect, though, was their huge happiness. They showed their gratitude and promised me that they would pay me back for my kindness. So, I took the time to teach them how to form groups and organize their efforts to hunt horned rabbits. This made me think my actions were not misguided at all. After learning to hunt, they all began to bring me food. However, I preferred that they eat it. I can get my own sustenance. The truth is, this day was remarkably beautiful, but I was really tired. When I left to rest, I started to feel a strange sensation of leveling up. I finally got the blessing of the god of life and death. Of course, all of this was told to me by that mysterious voice. Eventually, I fell asleep.